All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're fundamentally reframing how you look at one of the absolute most heavily analyzed companies in the world, Amazon. For years, the narrative around them has been, well, kind of lazy. People love to say it's just an online store with this highly profitable cloud business bolted on in the side. But when you look at the Q1 2026 data, it reveals a totally different beast. So today we're taking a strictly data-driven look at Amazon to reveal what it truly is, a highly dynamic multi-engine infrastructure platform. Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. The Amazon infrastructure machine, 2. AWS profit versus retail logistics, 3. The hidden variable of network utilization, 4. Core flywheel economics, 5. AI risks and Capex threats, and finally, 6. Valuing the multi-engine platform. Okay, let's dive right into Section 1, the infrastructure machine, and shattering that retail illusion. Look, to really grasp what Amazon is today, we have to completely let go of the idea that they are just a retailer. Yes, obviously their retail revenue is absolutely massive, but the actual value of the company is forged through its infrastructure. Think of it like this. It's a pretty simple metaphor. AWS is the power plant and retail is the grid, right? AWS operates like this high-margin utility, just churning out a massive share of the company's operating profit. Then, on the flip side, the retail and marketplace ecosystem is this sprawling grid, establishing literal billions of customer and seller connections, but maintaining a physical grid of that size requires immense delivery density. So the real debate today isn't about AWS's value. We all know it's incredibly valuable. The debate is actually about whether Amazon can perfectly utilize its retail grid to fund a historic, highly capital-intensive AI build-out. Let's move to Section 2, AWS versus retail logistics, and deconstruct that Q1 2026 data. We're going to pivot straight into the raw financial numbers here to see how this dynamic balance works in reality. $181.5 billion. Just let that top-line figure sink in for a second. That is the consolidated net sales Amazon reported in just the first 3 months of 2026. To put that scale into perspective, that's more than the GDP of a lot of small countries in a single quarter. Now, at that staggering level of scale, even tiny fractional improvements in efficiency unlock billions in operating income. And in Q1 2026, total operating income sat at a massive $23.9 billion. But the real question is, where is all that profit actually coming from?
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the crazy disparity at the heart of the business. In Q1 2026, AWS generated $37.6 billion in sales, which sounds like a lot, but that's actually only about 20% of Amazon's total revenue. Yet, AWS brought in $14.2 billion in operating income. Let that math process. Just 1/5 of the company's revenue is driving almost 60% of its total operating profit. It's boasting an operating margin of roughly 37.8%. And honestly, this is exactly why the power plant completely dominates the Wall Street profit conversation.
But here's the thing. AWS is still just one engine. To read Amazon correctly, you absolutely must separate the distinct margin profiles of their 5 core engines. First, you have first-party retail. Massive in sheer scale, sure, but structurally lower margin. Then there are third-party seller services, which offer much higher quality revenue through fulfillment and referral fees. Next up is the AWS profit geyser we literally just talked about. Add to that advertising, which is an incredibly lucrative engine because it seamlessly monetizes high-intent shoppers right before they hit buy. And wrapping the whole shebang together is Prime, locking in absolute loyalty and purchase frequency. If you just blend all these together on a consolidated balance sheet, you completely obscure the true mechanics of the machine. Which brings us to Section 3, network utilization and the retail margin recovery. So if AWS is our high-margin power plant, what exactly is happening with the rest of the grid? For a long time, the retail side was viewed as this massive profit drag. But the real hidden variable behind Amazon's entire margin expansion right now is retail logistics utilization. Take a look. In Q1 2026, the North America segment didn't drag the company down at all. It produced $8.3 billion of operating income, expanding to roughly an 8% margin. Even the historically brutal international segment recovered beautifully, hitting about a 3.5% margin. Why should you care about this? Because retail operating leverage is a coiled spring. When that logistics network is highly utilized, margins absolutely explode upward. You have to remember, retail logistics is a strictly fixed cost game. The robots, the giant warehouses, the delivery vans, the complex routing software, they cost exactly the same whether they're half empty or packed to the brim. So when unit volume surges through that network, the actual cost to deliver a single package plummets.
In Q1 2026, Amazon drove 15% unit growth in its stores and delivered over 1 billion same-day or overnight items. 1 billion! Those aren't just feel-good PR metrics to keep us happy. Those are vital, aggressive utilization indicators. That density lowers fixed costs, effectively turning the entire physical grid into a massive profit center.
Moving into Section 4, Core Flywheel Economics and Scale Compounding.
And this brilliantly illustrates how these two major engines feed each other through scale compounding. It's step by step. Step 1, massive selection draws in more buyers. Step 2, those buyers attract third-party sellers, which spikes competition and lowers prices. Step 3, this creates a massive tidal wave of volume, maximizing that vital logistics density we were just discussing. Step 4, all that consumer traffic access prime real estate for highly profitable advertising revenue. And finally, Step 5, AWS and ad profits fund the next massive wave of AI and infrastructure innovation. And then, the cycle violently resets and starts again. Amazon's true moat isn't low prices, it's the ruthless coordination of this flywheel.
Now, for Section 5, AI risks and Capex threats, because it's an existential balance.
Because, let's be real, this machine isn't invincible. The entire investment case is a very delicate balancing act, and there are serious existential risks that could throw the whole system off its axis. Take a look at this warning signal. Just $1.2 billion. That was Amazon's trailing 12-month free cash flow reported in Q1 2026. Why such a sharp drop? Well, because Amazon is spending breathtaking amounts of capital to fund their massive AI infrastructure build-out. We're talking custom silicon like Trainium and foundation models like Bedrock. If enterprise demand for these AI services disappoints, or if their pricing power slips, this massive capital intensity could severely punish their financial health. And beyond the AI Capex crunch, there are some very real structural headwinds testing the model from all sides today. Over on the power plant side, AWS faces brutal cloud competition and margin compression from chip depreciation. On the grid side, if Amazon misjudges consumer demand and overbuilds warehouses again, those massive fixed costs will absolutely crash their retail margins. Add in rising labor, complex safety regulations, and super expensive last-mile delivery costs. Even that incredibly profitable ad engine has limits, right? You push ad saturation too far, and you degrade the shopper experience and hurt merchant economics. Ultimately, the entire physical grid remains highly sensitive to macroeconomic shifts and tightening household budgets.
Finally, Section 6, Valuing the Multi-Engine Platform. Let's synthesize this.
With all of this data, from the massive cloud profit pools to logistics utilization and the very real AI risks, how should you actually go about valuing this complex machinery? Well, the absolute wrong way is to apply a simple retail multiple to its total revenue. The other wrong way is to look at AWS in total isolation and just ignore the retail grid. The only accurate framework is a sum of engines approach. You have to value AWS as a high-margin utility platform, advertising as a retail media network, the marketplace as a lucrative platform fee business, first-party retail as a raw traffic generator, and Prime as a subscription loyalty lock-in. They are completely different businesses, but they are perfectly reinforcing one another. Ultimately, Amazon is not just a cloud company with a low-margin store attached. It is a highly coordinated, multi-engine infrastructure platform for global commerce and computing. So the crucial point is this, and the defining question you should walk away with today is right here. How much consolidated operating income can this machine actually produce when the AWS power plant is running at full margin and the retail logistics grid is maximally utilized? If Amazon can execute both of those simultaneously while surviving the AI capital crunch, the sheer scale of their future earnings power might just aggressively surprise the world. Keep your focus sharp, and thanks for joining me on this explainer.